It is like a little device, but you insert it and it does you do like games on your phone.
Stop.
You play Angry Birds with your vagina.
Welcome to Scruunchy. I'm your host, Paula James Martinez, along with my co-hosts, self-confessed Silky Mum, Victoria del Fuente Ares.
Hola.
And Crunchy Mum, Rumer Willis.
Hi, everyone.
Together, we are going to explore some of our biggest parenting questions with all sorts of experts from across the parenting spectrum.
I agree.
All in a quest to train our friendly AI, Robotina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robotina.
Giving you access to all the answers you need.
That's a fact.
No matter what kind of parent you are. Silky, crunchy, or everything in between, aka Scrunchy. Now, I think we've all heard the news stories at this point. I made a whole film about the maternal health crisis in the US.
Yeah, I personally am scared of giving birth.
But we also all know the experience of having a child is incredibly nuanced and more than just the data. So in today's episode of Scrunchy, we are going to really unpack the question, has birth got worse? To investigate, Rumer sat down in New York City with Maven's chief medical officer, Neel.
The healthcare system is built on racism.
Robotina breaks down the data.
Let's just say it's titillating.
While Victoria and I are headed to Malibu to meet Gen X icon, queen of daytime TV, and the woman who changed the way we think about birth in popular culture, it's Ricki Lake. Joining us is her dear friend of mine, affectionately known as LA's celebrity doula, with 25 years of experience and over 1,000 babies under her belt. It's Laurie Bregman.
Yay!
Is millennial birth different to birth was 15 years ago? What's changed? What's got better? What's got worse since you did business of being born or you started as a doula?
I think you're the expert in that field because you say I've been doing birth all this time. No, my kids are.
You've existed. Ricki Lake is a doula. Like, I want you to know.
But I'm not practicing.
She's a doula.
I'm trained. Yeah, I did the
didn't know that.
Yeah, I did the donor training. No, I'm definitely like in the birth world in my mind and spirit. I'm not actively on the ground, anymore.
She always texts me and I'm at a birth. She's like, tell me what's happening.
I love it. I love it so much. And, I love the contribution that I have made and continue to make. It's of my professional career, which is a long one, 35 plus years. It's by far my proudest accomplishment. I think I've made the biggest difference in the world with that one film. And the fact that it stemmed from my own experience, my own curiosity, my using my name in this way, it was a very potent, all-encompassing experience that changed me as a public figure, as a mother, and I know the impact that we've made, and yet it was now 16 years ago, and yeah, you look at the numbers, you look at. Mostly focusing on the US, it's actually worse today to give birth on your own terms than it was back then, right? Would you agree?
I mean, it's weird that the movie came out 16 years ago and it's so relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing has changed, really. I mean, I did see, I've been doing this for 25 years. I did see a trend when your movie came out where everybody kind of started waking up and they're like, I want to do a home birth. I want to take back my power. Oh my God, I didn't know all this kind of stuff can happen. And there was an awakening in the birth world a little bit. And then things did a little bit change. But ever since COVID, they started inducing everybody because it was so much easier to control. At the same time, what's happening right now is with social media, and the internet and all the
influencers.
Yeah. But people are being like, oh my God, there's a different way I can do this. And I want to take back my power. Yet the medical world still we want to overtake your body. And they're like, I want to be in my body and feel my body. And I believe in my body. And they're like, we need to do this to you. Not, it's something that you do.
When Business of Being Born came out, did you expect the level of pushback and how it was received? Because I feel like no one had ever talked about it before. So there was no way to expect
how
That's
people
how I
talk about it.
operate. I'm just naive. I'm green. I just, I'm America's sweetheart. I thought everyone was going to receive this, this
Open.
movie, and it was just going to change the game. Like I
But
mean,
it
both.
did change the game.
Former talk show host Ricki Lake has become the face of Hollywood home birth. In her documentary, The Business of Being Born, she showcased her own water birth of her second son, Owen.
Does he have 10 fingers and 10 toes?
Something about being home and not having to pick up and leave and to not be in a place where people are sick and there's germs and everything is so sterile and cold and impersonal and just having freedom.
Yeah, there was the backlash that we received, and in particular, we screened it. We screened it at Grand Rounds at St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital, which is no longer. It's something else now, which is where I had my first son, and it's where Abby had her justified emergency C-section at the end of the movie. We presented it literally to the doctors that I had worked with. I mean, I thought we were going to. I knew there'd be like talk back, but I didn't expect to be called Nazi propagandist filmmakers, which is what we were called.
What is your reaction?
Well, my reaction is to not talk publicly about it. I'm not doing politics. That's not my forte, politics. Relationships are really my forte.
But you've written books about babies and births and all that kind of thing. I mean, just
believe
on
it's a woman's right.
Yeah, on the issue, forget the politics from. I don't really care if he's left or right or whatever what he is. I just found the comments so offensively ignorant.
You slandered us. I remember this one guy who's the head of Grand Rounds. He's like, you slandered us. We did not. Maybe it reflected poorly on what was going on, but it's what was going on. We didn't fabricate anything. And so, we went from that experience to being the darling at Tribeca Film Festival. So it was like very critically acclaimed, and, we knew we had poked the tiger and that we started something. We started a conversation that wasn't being had in the mainstream.
I watched Ricki Lake's Business of Being Born, and I was like, I think I could do this. I think I can.
Wait, I missed that. So
Okay.
wait, it was just like a home birth
It's a
thing?
home birth documentary.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
missed that.
You know what was really cool about the home birth, Kelly, is like, you're bringing a baby into the world. That's some of the hardest work anybody can do.
Amen.
And they don't let you have like water in the hospital or food or snacks, and you're about to like work the hardest you've ever worked.
And I think that was like the gift of my, my talk show and this mainstream talk show that I did for so long. Like that, a foundation to be able to put out this provocative material. But it was like 10 years later, from being treated that way in a hospital setting to being given the Mother of the Year award at Cedars-Sinai. Like it was wild. ACOG came after us. They like targeted me in their resolution or whatever they call it, and it was like, it was crazy.
It was Ricki Lake who came out on top.
I watched the movie. I got pregnant and I watched the movie.
With your pregnant
with my first. Yeah. And then I Googled what I need to watch, and that's how I ended up even having a doula for my first birth, even though it was a hospital birth. But I feel that why do they always end up going for like the one person that says something, and everyone end up thinking, well, she's pro home birth and everything is about home birth, but they forget that your partner in the movie actually ended up having a C-section.
Yeah.
So you were not saying giving birth at a hospital is a bad thing. At least that's not how I took it.
Good.
But it seems like that's how all the press kind of received it, or what they chose to focus on to create controversy, to sell more, or to get more clicks or whatever it is. And I think that that's the disadvantage of like when you end up believing in everything that's being said in the media.
Why home births could put your baby at risk, coming up in tonight's Health Alert.
That's why you have to advocate for yourself. You take what you like, you leave the rest, you build your own case on what you care about, what kind of birth you want, right? It's like, I don't know, the film, thank goodness that Abby's son, who's now like 17 years old, is healthy and doing great, but she had a complication that ended up balancing our film. I think had that not happened and she'd had this incredible home birth at the end, it would have seemed like propaganda,
I do a ton of births in the hospital. And a lot of my clients get epidurals, and a lot of my clients do home births, and a lot of my clients go unmedicated. And if my clients want to birth in a field with deer, I'm going to support them. If they want a C-section, I'm going to support them. But medical is amazing when it's necessary. I think like we're overusing it. They have to find the middle somehow, because we've gone from home birthing to free birthing, to birthing at the hospital and your body's taking over, and there's like, where's the middle?
Wait, what's free birthing?
Free birthing is when
nobody's there with you.
No care provider. You do it on your own.
and people do this because they want to.
Yes.
That's a choice.
A lot of times they've been so traumatized by the first birth that they're just like, I don't want anybody telling me what to do with my body. Or sometimes they can't afford.
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive to do a home birth.
This season on Scruunchy.
Do you think it was easier for you, Ricki, because there wasn't social media when you were birthing, to just follow your own path? Or do you think that was harder because there was a lack of information out there?
It's a really good question. I don't know the difference because I'm obviously, but back then, I mean, I'm someone, I just got a bug up my ass because I was in the right place at the right time where I witnessed a friend's friend had just had a natural birth at the birth center at St. Luke's Roosevelt. And so I saw her the day after she came home, 4 hours after the baby was born. And I saw her holding this perfect baby. And I was family planning. We were just starting to think about having kids. I was like 27 years old and I'm hearing this birth story. And I was just like, I want that. I always joked that I wanted to be a midwife. I really, I just wanted to go, but there was no way. I was a talk show host. There's no way of doing that. But I get to be sort of the midwife for the midwives and for the doulas and for the out-of-hospital birth workers that give so much of themselves for women and babies to have this kind of experience. Because it's really an opportunity that I'm so grateful that I was able to have, because I never felt like I was more powerful. And when I had my baby on my own terms, in my apartment, in my bathtub, in the West Village, with the people I wanted, and I was respected in a way. I mean, the midwifery care too, like when you're pregnant, and even Alex was my well woman care provider, and when she did my pap smear, and explaining to me and asking for consent every step of the way, that's not how it works, at least in my experience with doctors.
I remember doing a birth at the hospital, and one of the midwives was like, can I check your cervix? And she was like, okay. And she says, she went like, check the vagina. Can you feel my finger? And she went in just so slow, and she said, I'm gonna touch you now. And she's like, okay. And then she goes, okay. And she took her hand out and she goes, wait, you did it? And she's like, and then she just started bawling. And she's like, nobody's ever been that gentle with me. And she was unconsolable crying. Yeah.
And beautiful at the same time.
I realized, did I even answer your question? I don't know if
No,
I did.
I mean,
it's so...
it's really nuanced. I think, for example, when Laurie started being a doula, people were like, what on earth are you?
When I first started, I didn't even know what I was.
What year did you become a doula?
Oh my God, 26 years ago.
What year? Like in 98?
Ricki.
I don't know. Oh, you don't want to say what?
No, I can't even.
Well, see, my son's 27. He was born in 97. So that's why I'm doing the math.
Okay.
Around the time that I became a mom for the first time is when you started your practice, pretty much.
Yes.
And Laurie was 5 years old,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I remember when I first started, and I didn't become it's funny, I took my doula training with Anna Veerwell.
Yeah.
And
she's in our film.
I know, she's the best.
She's amazing.
Amazing.
Her hair, too.
But I took a weekend training. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
And
where, here in LA?
Yeah.
Okay.
In LA. I was the massage therapist of Los Angeles, Hollywood. I was working with everybody. And then when I took a prenatal training for massage, they were like, there's a doula training. I'm like, great, sign me up. At the same time, I was learning yoga, teaching, and I'm like, how can I gear all this towards pregnancy? So I was doing all these things, and then I was a doula, and all my friends were having babies. So I was like, I'll be your doula. And then I'm sitting there in the room like this. They're like, what help me? And I'm like, I just start.
Are you kidding?
Yes. And it was like the Wild West out there. I had no idea. I didn't have any doula friends because nobody
existed.
And it was like the Wild West. I had to figure it out all as I went, but it kind of gave me a lot of tools that I learned along the way. And now I have a network where I'm like calling them, going, I don't know what to do here. Or, oh my God, this just happened. I need to process. It's so nice. And now I think the best way, anybody who's a new doula, the best thing you can do is just get out there and do it.
And you still have never lost like the magic, right? Like of every birth, right? That moment that baby's born, it's still.
Yeah, it's so funny because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, and then all of a sudden the woman starts pushing and the energy, you could feel the portal, the magic in the room. And then all of a sudden you're like, you see the head. And then it's like, I think every birth worker that's in the room gets this adrenaline cocktail of all the hormones too, because usually after a birth, even if I've been up for 2 days, I'm like exhausted, but like this, like wired. I have to come down.
I'm lit just from hearing you talk.
She calls me, literally, like will text me, hi, what are you doing? Want to come over? I'm like, I'm at a birth. Oh my God, what's happening? Tell me where she is. What's happening?
Can we live stream?
Yeah, she's like, can I come over? Can I come be with you?
It's really,
she's like, can you send me a
I can't
picture?
explain it. It's like my, I was gonna say fetish, but that doesn't sound right. It's my kink. Are you into Chapel Roan, that singer? She's incredible, and so she has a song about her kink is karma.
People say I'm jealous, but my kink is karma.
I love it. I love new music.
Okay, cool.
I love that birth is your kink.
That kind of is your kink. It sounds like thinking about that.
This should be the episode. Birth is my kink. Ricki Lake.
Hey, Robotina.
I know. Birth is Ricki Lake's kink. Got it.
Okay, well that was fun. I know it's summer break, but what have we learned? Doulas have come a long way since the 90s, and Ricki Lake did not get a lot of love for shining a light on birth. But honestly, I feel it's inconclusive on the question of, has birth got worse? What about the cold, hard facts?
Hi, Robotina here. I'll take it from here. Over the past 20 years, the maternal mortality rate in the US has increased significantly. The CDC says it's up around 175%, and that the C-section rate rose to just over 32% of all extractions performed in America. That's nearly 1 in 3 births done via major surgery. The cost of childbirth has also risen significantly, 60%, in 1 generation. But having been trained to understand data is nothing without context. And luckily, I have located our Scruunchy mom, Rumor Willis in Manhattan, singing at the Carlisle Hotel. Anyway, I was able to get her a sit down with, I could go over his entire wiki, but he's Maven's chief medical officer and basically the most knowledgeable person in women's health statistics. Well, take it away, Rumor.
Dr. Neel Shah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you.
Me too.
So I'd love to just have you kind of share a little bit about who you are, you know, your, I guess, philosophy around being an OBGYN. I know that you...
I should also say that obstetrics and gynecology as a dude in my mid-20s, like that was the last thing I ever thought I was going to do.
Totally.
But I basically, like, you know, I have a brother, I have a mom, I guess, but I showed up in medical school and I had no idea what women go through. It was like eye-opening to me. I'm a doctor who loves midwives. I guess the place to start.
Yeah.
I'm also a dad, which has probably been the biggest part of my learning curve, and how to support parents is just, you know, I delivered like thousands of babies before I had to bring one home. My job was to like hand them off, but I had like no idea what it took to be a parent. But yeah, I spent most of my career as a professor at Harvard Medical School, helping care for people who are pregnant, and also studying the ways that our healthcare system works and doesn't work for people who are trying to build their families. A couple years ago, it was probably a midlife crisis or some pandemic ennui or something, but I basically decided to give all my grants away.
Wow.
Give up my academic appointment and come over here where we're sitting right now, which is Maven Clinic, which is a digital health company that's set up to support moms and parents across the world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
The healthcare system is important and it's there to like catch, but it's just not designed to, I mean, if you think about it, when it comes to childbirth specifically, 99% of Americans give birth in a hospital. That hospital, functionally, like the labor and delivery unit, is like an ICU.
Yeah.
And we surround them with surgeons.
Yeah.
Right. And so we end up with a system that does a lot of surgery to people that they don't need. Its system doesn't work very well for people, right? So, but if you think about it, like what everybody deserves and benefits from is almost the opposite. Like some people benefit from the ICU and the surgeon, and I am one.
Course, yeah.
But most people need like support and monitoring and coaching and empowerment. And we like don't do those things consistently. Okay, let's start with like the statistics. I mean, generationally, we've changed the way that human beings come into the world radically. So in the early 1970s, the C-section rate in our country was less than 5%. Now it's over 32%.
Yeah.
And so mathematically, that's 500% growth in major surgery. The C-section is now the most common major surgery we do on human beings. C-sections in and of themselves aren't necessarily a bad thing.
No, I'm so happy that they exist for when it's really necessary. Thank God women were dying in childbirth.
Right.
For little things where that is necessary.
Right.
But
I mean, you take a step back and it's 1 in 3 of us need major surgery to be born. And then 1 in 10 of those babies goes to the ICU.
Yeah.
And everybody's okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right here in New York City, surrounded by all these resources, those are the statistics. Well, people in healthcare can get harmed in 2 ways: when you do too little too late, and when you do too much too soon.
Yeah.
Both are true. And with C-sections, it's honestly a pretty straightforward surgery. I could train you to do one rumor probably in a couple weeks.
Let's do it.
As long as it's the first time, mom.
Yeah.
But we're the only surgeons as obstetricians that cut on the same scar tissue over and over again, because moms usually have more than one baby.
Yeah.
And the second time it's more complicated. The third time it's not to be graphic, but all that scar tissue can make the placenta and the uterus and the skin all fuse together like a melted box of crayons. And it actually can be a really technical, really dangerous surgery. And people get harmed from that. You can't get surgical complications without doing surgery.
Yeah.
And so blood loss, infection, organ injury. And mathematically, again, we're seeing more and more of that. So it's not even the case, C-sections are designed to rescue.
Yeah.
So we go in, we're rescuing
because it's a life-threatening.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the idea. You're rescuing the baby. And as the obstetrician, you're always right. Because if the baby comes out and looks perfect, you're well, it's a good thing I did a C-section.
Yeah.
And if the baby comes out and looks sick, you're well, that was a sick baby. It's a good thing I did a C-section.
Yeah.
There's no one to call me on whether or not it was indicated, but I actually think the C-section is the most common consequential surgical error in the world. The decision to do one was so inaccurate, and we're not better off for it. Babies are 0% better off from a survival standpoint, term infants. We've made huge gains for preterm infants.
Yeah.
But full-term babies we're taking out with surgery, they're not better off. And moms are worse off, objectively. So you were asking about the maternal mortality statistics. They're scary.
You're watching Scruunchy TV. Stick around. We'll be right back.
I feel like I've seen a lot of women or heard a lot of stories where they're, at home, their labor is kind of moving forward, it's progressing, and they go to the hospital, and all of a sudden there's all these people touching you, there's all these cords on you, there's these beeping, there's the lights. And someone explained it to me very well. It's slightly graphic, but I think it really kind of displays it. If you're at home and you're on the toilet and you're pooping and someone comes in and goes, your whole body is going to go like this.
It's an apt metaphor. Yeah.
But someone was saying that, that your cervix is very much the same, and it's also a sphincter, so that ability to relax and be in a space that's not high stress, it's not going to raise your cortisol, I think is really important.
We don't learn anything in medical school about normality. We only learn about things that are abnormal, and so it's a hammer nail problem. We go in and we look for problems.
Yeah.
Right? And what we're not taught as surgeons, we're good at using scalpels and we're waiting to use it.
Yeah, because it's also I want to feel useful. I want to do something.
Yeah, and I'm always right. If the baby comes out sick, I'm it's a good thing to C-section. If it comes out great, it's look, I just saved the day, you know?
You're watching Scruunchy TV. We'll be right back. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is a home movie of Malcolm as a baby. The man tossing Malcolm in the air is our grandfather, Trojan John. He always liked it rough, and that's how he treated us. Nice and rough.
In 2024, we have no way of knowing how big a baby is until it's out.
That's what I mean.
We literally don't. We have no technology into it. So if someone's pushing at 3 a.m. for 2 hours, and then 3 hours, and 4 hours, the hardest thing about being the midwife or the OB is you have to just decide what you believe is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's no technology that will tell you how big the baby is.
Yeah.
You just have to do an exam, You have to measure the heartbeat, and you have to be like, rumor, we got to go now. The baby has to come out.
Exactly.
That's all you have. Yeah. Nobody in their right mind would give birth on their back.
No.
Unless epidurals existed. And epidurals, our nerves control our muscles, and they also control our sensation.
Yeah.
But it turns out when you take away the sensation, you take out the muscles at the same time. So you can't walk with a good epidural block. And then it turns out, at the turn of the century, obstetricians decided it was easier for them if the person giving birth was on their back.
Yeah.
But before that, like if someone wasn't with an epidural, they would squat.
Yeah.
Or they'd be on all fours.
That's what makes physiological,
that's what every other mammal does.
sense. Yeah. It's literally what every other,
Yeah.
And there's just so many things that I think if women so choose, to empower them to have a unmedicated birth. I think especially because I didn't even learn this till this year. What an epidural is, it's fentanyl, right?
It's one of the things we
essentially,
give,
right?
Yeah.
Which
fentanyl is now the #1 killer drug in the U.S.
You can die just by touching it.
Fentanyl.
A fatal dose of fentanyl.
Fentanyl.
The potent opioid that's supposed to tranquilize elephants.
A synthetic painkiller 100 times more powerful than morphine.
Just 2 milligrams of the pure drug, which is about 4 grains of salt, is enough to kill the average adult.
I think as a mom, if you're going in, you're like, oh, it's an epidural, and you just use that word. But, for me, thinking about, we won't even eat sushi or drink juices or eat deli meat, but there's so much stuff that you won't do during pregnancy, yet you go into a hospital and you're putting drugs in your body, which, is gonna affect your
Honestly,
baby.
rumor, you probably can eat sushi, by the way, but
I did.
Yeah, but so much about pregnancy is just people's strongly held beliefs that don't actually have a basis. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is just sort of we've always done it this way. And honestly, it turns out childbirth from a healthcare system standpoint, it's the most common healthcare service.
Yeah.
So 25% of all hospitalizations in the country are a mom or a baby after a birth. And cumulatively, it's nearly 1% of GDP is just hospitalizing people to give birth. It's a huge industry. And that's the best way I can describe it. We basically industrialized the process of bringing humans into the world.
You're watching Scruunchy TV. We'll be right back.
So wait, what have we learned again? Well, in answer to the question, has birth gotten worse?
Statistically, yes. Everything has got much worse.
How much worse?
175% worse.
Okay, my brain needs to kick in again so I can forget this information. On the bright side, we do have doulas, and we have access to more information, more opportunities to have home births, free birth.
And to give birth in hospitals with doctors that are a little bit more human and that are more respectful of the female experience.
Shout out Dr. Crane, Dr. Fabi.
And the education's better. Ricki started a ball rolling, but I think most women now have some understanding of what birth entails and what they can ask for.
I think the most important thing that we can encourage as crunchy, scrunchy, and silky moms is to just ask questions, get more information, and get the support that you want to have the birth experience that you're looking for, and don't stop until you get it. Even if that means changing providers, even if that means...
Or changing bands.
Yeah.
You were just asking me earlier, will you give birth at home? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I get enough information after one season that my next baby is going to be at home birth with you both.
Yeah, baby. Stay tuned, guys.
Do your homework.
Thank you for watching.
That was it. That was Scruunchy. Thanks for watching. Wait, what's next?